guys, welcome to episode 9 from Let's Agree to Disagree. And today we're gonna be talking about suspension systems. So we've got me, Marwan from Rami Automotive. We've got Saeed from Titan Performance. We've got our favorite Reyes from the Jeep community. We've got Dan from everywhere.
And nowhere.
And we've got Saif from Jeep Nation. So since Dan is good at starting such subjects, I'm gonna pass on the mic to him.
I am. I always pass on to everyone else.
Well, now it's revenge. Revenge time.
Fair enough. To be honest, we don't need suspension. Just remove the shocks, remove the springs, and you're good.
Fridge.
Yeah.
Fridge with wheels that go all directions.
So actually, in one of our episodes that focused on what are the top 5 products that somebody should start with, we mentioned suspension. So I guess this is a good opportunity to actually go more into details. We'll wait for Reyes to finish playing first. Show us what you play with.
He's testing the suspension.
What kind of suspension is that?
That is, wait a second.
That is a tactical trading one.
Well, the rear is coil over.
Whoa.
This problem
Big
doesn't
money.
really have anything other than a ring.
So no suspension?
So yeah, I guess no suspension.
So
Maybe we can
let's
start.
let's start with what does suspension do? The suspension is the main thing is it gives you road contact, gives you comfort. It's the 3 C's. So contact, comfort, and
Yeah.
Curve performance. Performance.
Performance!
contact, comfort, and something.
Calibration.
Okay, you mean the 2 C's?
No, it's 3 C's.
Well, let's wait for that to have 30.
Control.
Control.
Thank you.
And we've
There
got
we go.
Saeed with his first appearance, giving us some added value. Thank you, Saeed.
I finally gave someone some added value.
So, yes, tell us more.
So it's to maintain road contact with your tires. It's to give you comfort when going over uneven terrain. And it's to give you control of your vehicle while turning, while going over the uneven terrain. So whatever suspension you have, it's the main objective to give you those 3 things. And with off-road, it's slightly different to on-road. On-road, you need to always maintain contact. Whereas off-road, sometimes your wheels aren't in contact. So you need to maintain control while not in contact. And at the end of the day, you need comfort. So you have those 3 things to play, and all suspension systems
But the
will
question is how
aim for these things.
how do you have for being an off-roader example, if you drive a Jeep or an FJ or a Nissan Patrol, how do you meet or have all 3 working together?
Exactly.
You can't have some people want comfort, control, and what was the other C? I forgot.
Contact.
And contact. I screwed up with that one already.
Yeah.
Where do you meet? It's all about meeting in the middle, isn't it? Because you can't have entry-level suspension and want the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But how does it work? And this is why what we've noticed in our market especially, people want everything but don't want to pay the premium to get it.
Yeah.
So you have all these suspensions that are coming in now or have come in where they talk big, but an hour into it and suspension's faded. And
See,
you're
the suspension, this is a huge topic. I don't know why we even chose this topic, because we're never going to come up to one answer. We're never going to come up to one conclusion. It's all based on the driver himself, where he's going to drive, what's his level of driving.
I tell you what,
Is he looking for something tough or something
You are
soft?
exactly right on that point, because being us, the first question we will ask, or the first person I ask when a person comes up to you, what are you going to use it for?
Yeah.
Are you overlanding? Are you driving 80% of the time on road? Are you going to be doing light duty brush? Are you going to Al Qudra? Where are you going? What is your end goal? If you want to pre-run, there's a different setup for it. If you want to just light off-road with the weekend with the family, there's something else. If you want to be a marshal of a certain club or whatnot, there's certain things for that. What everyone seems to think is, I will start off with tires, bumpers, lights, and leave the suspension for the end. Why? Example, if you have a 1,000 horsepower car, which most people do, example, I'm not going to mention you, 1,000 horsepower car and crappy tires and suspension, you're not going anywhere. Whereas a guy who's got less power than you, but a decent set of tires, a decent set of suspension, is going to beat you every single time.
Yeah, and so to bring it back to what Marwan was saying, we all said that a suspension, or as we might have called it, a lift kit, is an essential mod, right? And I think
Well, I think this is where we need to start breaking down what are we talking about exactly.
Exactly.
So when we're saying suspension, you're not talking about a lift kit only. There are a lot of components that work together to form what is a suspension is.
What a suspension kit is.
And it's more or less the terminology are close, whether it was IFS or solid front axles. So basically you have coils, you have shocks, you have control arms, and then you go to the solid front axle, and then you have the track bars, the tie rods.
But in terms of the basic, of the purely necessity of off-roading, every car, whether it's IFS or what do you call it?
Live axle.
Or live axle. It works the same way. I mean, the whole point is for everything to work simultaneously.
To give you the 3 C's.
Exactly. So, agreed. You will never have the same comfort as an IFS, but you can get as close performance-wise with the right tune, with the right suspension, with the right example. So if you go, well, the biggest mistake everyone does over here, going off topic, is the first thing when it comes to lifting a car. What does everyone tell you, Marwan? They'll be like, I want to lift my car 3 inches, etc., etc., etc. Then they don't tell you what they're going to load on the car.
No.
So you'll give them a suspension. You'll give them the springs for it, the arms for it, the shocks for it, for a basic car with no front bumper, no rear bumper, nothing loaded. 1 month later, they come back to you and they say that the car performs badly, but they've added stuff to it. So when you're adding things to it, the whole system changes again. The shocks need to be re-shimmed, re-valved. There's so many components that go into it. And that's what a lot of times that people don't realize that's what's going to happen. So example A, we will have customers that in the very beginning will say, we are not going to overland.
And then they change their mind.
1 month later, they're overlanding. People don't realize the amount of R&D that we do beforehand, before I give you a suspension. Like for me, I can plug and play. I can take it out of a box and fit it for you, but it will never work. I ask you in advance. We tune it. Irrespective of what brand it is, we will tune it. If it's rebuildable, serviceable, it can be tuned. We will tune it to your specifications and give it to you.
But first, before you get to that, you need people to know what they are buying.
Exactly.
And why they are buying it. And what to expect out of a suspension that they're
Majority of the
buying.
time, people know what they're buying or what they're getting themselves into. Majority of the time. And now this is...
Now, if you're talking about advanced driver, but
No, I'm not talking about an advanced driver. I'm talking about... Okay, I wouldn't just talk about an advanced driver. I would talk about a newbie. A newbie will say in the very beginning, I want to go dune bashing.
Yeah.
Then he goes
Yeah,
to
but he
rocks with
doesn't
you.
still know what he wants.
Exactly. That's what you have to ask him.
Because
But see, even with dune bashing, you can go with many different categories.
No.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
exactly.
Depends on how you're gonna drive.
there are these little bits of details that you need to communicate in order for him to understand what he's actually looking for.
I agree.
Because there is a lot of cases where, especially those newbies, they would ask for a suspension. It's like, I want to go, as you said, dune bashing. But then he wants to drive it
Every day.
on road every day, and he wants it to be comfortable. Because if he doesn't want something that hurts his back on a daily driver basis.
I agree.
So, however, if you're going, if you're buying that vehicle for more off-road use, you have to understand that even the stiffness of that system has to service that.
I disagree with you on that point. If
Oh,
8
they
years
disagree.
ago,
I like that.
8 years ago,
Yalla.
I would
Fight,
agree
fight.
with you on that. That it would be stiff and so on. But the game has changed. Technology has changed. You can get suspension that is comfortable on road and off road at the same time without compromising on quality on road quality as well.
I think you guys are talking a very valid point, but we need to establish first what a suspension is before we get to what you should choose. Because at the end of the day, why are we talking about this topic is to educate people that it's not, as you said, just a lift kit.
Yeah.
And that's what people mostly are going for because they want bigger clearance, they want the stance of a lifted vehicle.
Or they just want to go to the mall and look cool.
Exactly, they want the
That's
stance, right?
mall crawlers.
Yeah.
So I think it is something that's quite a high value purchase in terms of modifications. So most people will understand maybe different brands. They'll understand maybe different types of suspensions. For example, different types of shocks. But they might not understand what the benefit of one is over the other.
Yeah, but then you have to look at this. Agreed that most people will not. But myself, you guys will all know what you're putting into your cars.
Yeah. So and I agree with your point. Is you ask them what they want.
Exactly. That's
But
why.
just as you said, that will change. Like for example, I started with dunes. I wanted it for dune mashing, but I also drive on the road.
But now you're forced into rocks.
But then, now Reyes took me on the rocks, and now
I tell you what,
drive on the rocks,
I would
so-
pay money for you to convert me. I have not been converted yet.
Into rocks?
I've never been. To be honest, I've never gone
Don't
into
challenge
Well,
him, please don't challenge him.
That's
I'm challenging him. I
He
wanna-
will literally walk next to you while you're recording.
No, I'd like to see. I've never done it. I've never done rocks before. I've spent majority of my time in the sand. I'm literally in the desert all the time.
The only time I've seen Reyes with a smile that big is on the rocks.
on the rocks.
Every man in his favorite place.
We have a few videos. I think we might put them.
So,
Yeah, the
let-
swinging video.
Dan, so let's, in order to be, let's say, more focused, let's talk springs and shocks. Okay, let's focus on that.
Yeah, let's talk spring. What does the spring do?
Okay, so now we've got two types of off-road vehicles, some with solid axles, some with
IFS.
IFS. Let's start with the solid axles. We've got two types of springs that are sold. Some that are linear, some that are progressive.
Yeah.
Okay? Then obviously you have subcategories like medium load, high load if you're carrying a lot of load. Okay, but we're talking about the general off-roader. We don't want to get into so many details. What is the function of a spring? The function of the spring is to get the vehicle at a specific height, purely. Okay?
Yep.
Then obviously more technology comes in to give you either more performance or more comfort.
It's it's to give you control, because when if you didn't have a spring, if you had a rigid connection between your axle and your thing, it'd be super uncomfortable, and you actually wouldn't have good contact in certain situations.
100%.
If you went over a ditch, you're basically waiting for gravity to drop your tire down, whereas if you had a spring, it actually pushes your tire down. So you always have contact.
That's why, as a beginner or someone who's just starting to off-road, I would always advise them to go for the mono shocks, the single shocks.
Okay.
Okay.
Basics.
So now we're getting to the,
Yeah.
And then
to
once
the
he
point.
starts figuring out where he's gonna go, how he's gonna drive his car, once he knows how his car basically once he gets to know his car more, then he will basically upgrade. But as a start, go for the single.
But that puts them in a
Yeah.
particular situation where they keep on spending money, isn't it?
Well, end of the day.
I mean, I don't think you should
But
throw
yes,
him into
yes,
that
yes,
because
it's a loop.
budget
It's a loop.
effects
It's a loop
and then
more.
I mean,
No,
you
it's a
should
loop. But
just look
would you
forward.
would you want to go spend thousands of dirhams or dollars on shocks or a whole suspension kit where one day you're gonna be thinking,
but
okay, so I don't like desert. I like
No, but then
rock
again,
rolling more.
that's it, that same suspension that he's paid for thousands and thousands of dollars of dirhams can be tuned to whatever he wants. But if you put him in the beginning with the monotube, he's screwed because he's gonna have to keep on paying money every time he wants to do something. You give him something-
Let's not get on to which to choose. First, let's keep on the same track that Marwan was there.
Yeah.
You have a spring.
So let's say if somebody with a Jeep comes to me and say, I want to lift my car.
Is that all of us? We'll all drive Jeeps here.
No. We'll go to the trucks. Okay, we'll go to the trucks. I want to lift my Jeep. I go, perfect. How are you going to use your car? How often are you on the road? How important is comfort for you? How often are you in the sand? And how fast or what type of driving will you be doing on the sand? Based on that, if he's a beginner, the first question I'm going to ask is how often you're going to do it and for how long?
But see, someone who's a junior, you can't really ask him that question.
Okay. In such
Why is
cases,
Because he never knows how often he's gonna
Yeah,
do it. He's
'cause
gonna drive
it could
once every month or two, but then he gets to like it more, so he starts
He does
driving
it
more
more
often.
Agreed.
this is where, in my case, the way I would do it is I would say, listen, you are still a beginner. You need a basic suspension
Exactly.
system. You need, if it's a Jeep, a 2.5-inch lift kit with
Single
some
shock.
shocks, 2.0s,
Mhm.
okay, reputable ones. And if your budget allows, go for progressive shocks, springs, because you'll get a bit more comfort. If you have a truck or an IFS vehicle, and he's a beginner, I say start with a 2.0. Then if in 2 years, a year and 2 years, you believe it's not enough for you, then upgrade. In such cases, some customers will say, listen, I have the budget. I don't want to start with something and then spend money in a year, like lose whatever I've invested in, and then spend money in a year again to buy something more advanced. This is where I say, okay, perfect. In such case, the next level would be, in my case, a 2.5 if you can go for something adjustable, it's perfect. And then in cases like tighten, even tune it to my needs, to the customer needs. So this is simply how I would.
I agree with Marwan 100%, to be honest. Especially when he said something adjustable. You can tune it the way you want later on, but that's if someone has the budget. If not, then just go for basics.
Who would
And
like
see.
to add to it or agree or disagree?
Who would like to fight?
No, I agree.
I agree, but I disagree
agree.
at the same time.
No, that's why you're here. That's why you're here.
overrated.
I agree, but
I really think that adjustable shocks are overrated. So please go ahead.
because you're driving the rocks.
No, I do. I kind of see a point of view from Reyes
Okay,
because
why do you say that?
they would start adjusting in the beginning, but then it sticks somewhere and never.
No, the point
changes.
is that if you have the it's a combination between the lift, the coils, and the shocks. And
But-
if the tuning is done right, as you said, you will get a comfortable.
Agreed.
But I believe the tuning is the last.
It's the last thing.
No,
It's the most advanced thing.
I mean, even there are some kits that would come tuned together to work in harmony. Let's say.
That's only when you buy it as a package deal. Like example, if you buy a kit that comes, example,
Fair
you,
enough,
you
yeah,
buy a
fair
kit. Let's say it comes with, I won't any brand. Let's say Fox suspension, and with a rock crawler lift kit. It's tailor made for each other. But then what happens is at times you have people who are mixing and matching, and don't know what they're doing. Then what? That's not comfort. There's no comfort in that.
I agree. Yeah, but then
Because the only thing they say is, I want it soft, and I want to lift the car 2 inches. What are you going to do?
if you want, sorry.
So you have a customer or a guy
Yeah.
who'll come in who will say up to you, I need my car to be lifted 2 inches, all right, with monotube shocks and any springs you want. What are you going to do?
With any springs do I want?
Yeah.
But what is the use?
He doesn't tell you. You will find customers like that. You will find people like that.
You
You
ask
will
more
keep
questions.
on asking. You can keep on asking questions. You have to educate him at this point. Is that
Agreed.
then if you want these combinations, so option 1 is this, option 2 is this, this will give you this will give you that.
Yeah, but do you think everyone does that?
Well, they should.
Not everyone does that.
We had mentioned many times.
Education, Marwan, I would say about 20 to 30 people in our community do that. How many people do
This is
that?
why people should go to trusted workshops
Exactly.
and suppliers.
What-
There are-
Exactly. Good advice from a trusted shop always helps.
Well, how many people do that? Not much.
No, but it's not just purely that, because that trusted shop might not have time for you to explain something that it's not a simple thing to explain what suspension system you need.
Well, if I'm
Listen,
paying, if I'm
you're-
paying
if
that
I'm
amount of
coming
money,
to
I
you-
would expect
if
the shop
I'm
to give me
coming
some time.
to
I
you
agree.
and I don't get a proper customer satisfaction from you, I'm going to leave and go to the next shop. Yeah,
Exactly.
of course.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
I'm paying a big amount of money. I would expect that shop to give me some time and explain and show me the differences and let me probably even test it if he has it, if it's possible. That's even a plus. So yeah, if he's not going to give me time, then I'm not going to give you my money.
But it's not just about trusted, is my point. Because even that trusted shop might not have
When I
the
mean
time to explain to
trusted,
each and every customer.
Sorry, let me rephrase. When I meant trusted, that means somebody that goes through the whole process of the
Gives
whole
you the time of
experience.
day.
Like
Especially
asking
someone that
all the
would also
questions.
give you genuine items.
Like
That-
you
that's
want
not-
you want him
that
to
is
buy
a
from
topic.
you.
That is a
Yeah,
topic.
we've done the original
that-
versus.
No, but it's so flooded. You can work so hard at something and then someone will just copy it off you. Like, the amount of work people do in terms of R&D, I personally see it. I personally experienced it. You will spend. Example, I have gone, or myself, and as Untitled Performance, we've gone days testing, tuning, R&D, finding the perfect setup for a person, or trying it on our cars, breaking our own cars to see that it's going to work for you, the customer, and then somebody copies it. And you can't. And in our market, you can't even copyright
He
it.
doesn't even only copy it; he makes it better.
That also happens as well.
Look, at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to try to follow your track.
Yeah.
So you need to be ahead of everyone. You need to be genuine. Do everything that you have to do, and I believe you'll succeed.
So let's move. So we've talked about a suspension and how to go about getting one. But what is a better suspension for an off-road vehicle? Do you want something that's more stiff? Do you want something that's softer?
You can't answer that question.
You can.
Depends.
Actually,
Depends on your
if
driving
you're
style.
looking at the market, okay, so if you're looking at the market now, everyone wants adjustable, don't they?
Yeah, but and I'm glad you said that.
The
The new
word
trend.
of mouth.
It's the new trend. It's the new trend.
I'm glad you said that because I personally feel that too much emphasis is put on the shocks at giving you performance and not the springs.
Yeah.
Because actually your shocks and the initial design of a shock is to dampen the effect of a spring going over an uneven road surface.
Correct.
If you just had springs, it would just keep bouncing forever.
It will oscillate forever.
So you have a shock to dampen that effect.
Yeah.
And obviously now with technology, shocks have become adjustable that they actually give you suspension like a spring would. And then that's not even getting into coilover suspensions. So the idea of your suspension, why you should have a good suspension, is so that in your operating circumstances, you don't have something too soft where you have too much body movement front, back, or left, right, and not too stiff that you have no body movement and that it's so uncomfortable that you break your back.
This is where I come to agree with Reyes that the non-adjustable are set to a good point where they're not too bouncy
They're in
and not
between.
too stiff. They're on a good balance.
Yeah,
Like, I
so-
tried it
so-
personally. I'm on bypass, non-adjustable, and I'm actually
Yes,
comfortable.
No,
I
but-
would believe this is very relative.
Exactly what I was going
What
to
you
say.
guys are saying
Yeah.
is very relative. Soft or hard. You can't tell you need something soft or something hard. That's, in my opinion. You want the bottom line to have a proper contact at full time. This is key. Contact of the tire in the right way most of the time with the least movement of the body. And this is why I believe shocks are the most important components in a suspension system, much more important than a spring. But again, if the spring is wrong, the shock will not be doing its job at
It
all.
won't give you the actual feedback that you're looking for.
So
but as you said, it's relative, and to go back to Saif's point, is if you give someone an adjustable shock who knows nothing about what a shock is doing, it's useless. He will not know whether he should put on 1 or 8 or 5 or what.
But that's the point. So usually what happens with suspension, the first time you put it on, you're like, yay, great, amazing. By the 4th week, you're like, okay, I need a little bit harder here. I need a little bit softer because you're used to driving it.
Yeah.
So of course, if you, as what Marwan said, if you don't go through them from the whole A to Z process, then they're wasting their time and you're wasting their time because you're not giving them the quality they deserve.
Yeah.
So you need to be with them on board from the very beginning. So you're gonna be like, this is the reason why it's adjustable. You go out with them, like you'll go out with them on the 3rd week, show them how to. So in the initial phases, you'll show them how to adjust it themselves, and you let them play around with it. On the 3rd week, 4th week, you go out with them, go out for a drive with them, see what's going on, see if it's made for them, see if any changes need to be made. But how many people actually do that?
Yeah.
So out of a box, everyone's like, yeah, I have the best. 4 weeks into it, you're like, okay, maybe I made a mistake.
Yeah, that's another problem that people think because of the brand name that's the best.
Let's not even go
It
there.
needs to suit you. It's not.
I mean, people some people see as in okay, if I pay more, it means the suspension.
No, that's not
My
always true.
suspension kit is the
well,
best.
there
This
is
is very common.
There is the other side of the story is that you installed whatever springs and shocks and you're happy with them.
Yeah.
But what are the other components that you did not consider when you did that?
Or
That
weren't.
will serve the
Or weren't installed
efficiency
properly.
of the system working in a proper way. So
Like example, when you have people who come and install the suspension and not install a steering stabilizer.
on solid axles,
Yeah.
depending on the tire size also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, the guy calls you, he's got death wobble.
well, you have steering stabilizers. The track bar will affect as
Yeah.
well because basically the moment you lift, your axle is no longer in the center,
Mm-hmm.
so that affects.
But
Control arms were people they didn't like when I said that, but well, there was a brief.
Well, you said it was an essential mod, and we argued
Yes,
that
it is. Yes, it
we
is.
argued that
Even
it's
for a
it only becomes essential at a
even
certain
for a
point.
2.5-inch lift, yes, in terms of if you're saying it's not putting too much stress, but it is affecting the flexibility. It is adjusting
it's
the geometry.
limiting your flexibility in geometry.
Yeah, but it's within
With what is
operating
limiting.
range.
You mean
It's
The
not
full
installing
outside
a
of
flex?
operating range.
Yeah.
Installing a flex is improving.
So if you, by having the control arms, it's giving you more travel,
Exactly.
more more flexibility.
Or-
More
Exactly.
travel, more
So
comfort,
it
more
works,
flexibility.
The system works better.
but
Of course.
Of course.
Yes.
We did.
If you put
But
a
it's not-
if you put a
It's
supercharger,
important,
you
but
have
not
more power.
essential.
But it's not essential.
It wasn't. We were talking
No,
about
we're
essentials.
talking
essential.
about flexibility, comfort, the 3 C's.
Yeah, but
And
we,
Well,
Guys,
if we're
guys,
talking about this three
this
seasons,
took us back like 5 episodes ago.
wow, guys, we're opening up old stories now.
And you said,
Wow, guys.
no,
Fine, yeah,
for a
fine.
fact. I mean, it's the whole system working to that. I understand that when you're going basic, the stresses and the amount of work on the other components is not as essential as going higher and bigger, but
then again,
educating.
But then again,
Well, he said it. I didn't.
Ah.
But
Thrown in the deep end here.
educating people to understand all the components that they need to consider, not for now, maybe for the future, is an essential part for them to be aware of. They need to understand what is coming next.
how
What
to
do they need
improve
to improve?
from the
the system.
necessary or from the basic?
Well,
What to do to improve whatever they have?
it's to improve what
We agree.
It will
See,
be
more than once, like in different groups, a lot of people come in as fresh newbies, juniors. They come in with brand new cars, nothing installed, it's completely stuck, and they ask, guys, I want to put on a suspension kit, I want to lift my car, I want to go off-roading and all that. And I like one advice that people actually give. Go with nothing, couple of drives, try your car, see how it performs.
That is the best.
Learn.
it is.
Learn, know what
unfortunately-
you need, learn what you like exactly. Where do you want to go? You want to go rocks, you want to go mountains, you want to go swimming, you want to go desert, whatever you want to go. Check what you need and then come back slowly. And one big advice.
This goes back to what we say always: is do your research.
And one big
Understand
advice I would
what's
like to give everyone, to all my friendly neighbors, take an advice from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Do not
Jordan
go
Man.
and. You had to bring it up, huh?
Yeah.
Do not go to anyone and ask them, what do you have installed? I'm going to put the same thing.
Yeah, but that goes
No.
back. That goes. I mean, if you guys haven't noticed the amount of accidents that have been happening lately in deserts, or
Not really.
not
Well, I think that's
that's-
correlated with just
No,
the
that's-
sheer amount of people going out.
No. What's happening? There's a big trend now where nobody wants to go through that learning process anymore.
Yeah.
Out of the box,
Everyone's
you buy a car, you drive 2,000 kilometers, then you're like, I want the best of the best.
Halas, professionals.
And then 1 month later, they're marshals because they know someone who knows someone who knows someone. The whole process of going through, starting from the bottom, learning.
I call
How
them
to-
junior marshals.
I like to call them.
Or I like to call them shepherds.
I like to keep quiet about it and not open that topic, but but it's happened. If you know, as of late, there are loads of accidents. There are more rollovers now than there were
Oh yeah,
any other
I
time.
agree 100%.
Because everyone wants the best and doesn't know how to drive.
Exactly, because and you guys always say go and get educated, but the people who are the ones having these accidents are the ones who are not watching our show and they're not going to go and get educated.
So
They
now
just-
you're promoting
They just saw their Jeep, they
You don't watch
saw a
our
Jeep,
show?
they saw an
You
FJ,
won't
they
learn.
saw a Raptor, they saw whatever, and they're like, that looks amazing. I'd love to get one of those. They go and they find someone to sell them one of those. They buy it with everything ready to go. They take it off road. They roll it within a few weeks, and then they're like,
And this
Shit.
goes back to that the mistake is the driver.
And this is all because they don't watch our show.
I mean,
Okay.
the driver took that decision.
Yes.
It's not the vehicle.
Yes.
It's the driver that took that decision.
but
and started
it's not
doing
90. It's not 90%.
But we're not going to get
It's
into
not.
this now because we already
Anyway.
had that discussion before.
This kind of worms must have been really bad last time, but
No,
Yep.
no, just no. We agreed on the principle. It was
Yeah.
So we agree that suspension must be selected depending on how you expect to use the vehicle for the short to mid-term.
Yeah.
And people need to know what are the potential upgrades should they want to move forward in the mid to long term.
Yeah.
And people must know what is the first best combo if they want to start with it from the beginning, if their budget allows them.
Plus, adding to what you're saying, look at your options. Look at the different options you have available.
I would always say shop around.
There's
have a
a
look.
lot
There's no
of
harm in
options in the
looking
market.
around.
There's so many options.
I mean, the good thing about myself, Marwan, and Rahul, and everyone else, everyone knows everyone. You know, and everyone supports everyone in that aspect. So if a guy comes to us and they're like, we want to get this from Rami, we're like, go ahead. Guy comes up we have a lot of times where people will come to us with parts already supplied from example Marwan, and we're more than happy to fit it. Because we know companies like raw meat trading has given them quality products. But if someone comes up to me and says, I got this from so and so and so and so, I'll be like, hold back.
جنبين أصلي.
Yellow أصفر.
أصفر تقفيز.
So,
Well, the new ARBs, yeah.
can we?
The new ARBs.
Oh, you had to throw that in there.
Since we're talking about that, can we first of all confirm to everybody watching that you should not select your shocks or your springs depending on the color, right? We've got lots of people saying, I want that yellow shock.
Really?
And I go like, oh my God. And
Which yellow shock? Do they even know the name?
No, أصفر.
جنبين أصفر.
So,
أصلي.
or people want this specific color of spring because it's the best. So, yes, don't look at the colors. Colors mean nothing. Ask a trusted shop, listen to different opinions, and build your opinion or your decision based on
Wait,
that.
I'm still not gonna buy a blue spring, for example.
Why are you not going to buy a blue spring?
Because it's gonna look bad on my car.
What about turquoise?
Yeah, even if you put stickers, it might affect your car performance. Like if you put Pioneer or
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wow.
like
Of course.
Hub or
One sticker gives you 10 horsepower. You know that?
Sony. And,
I have a lot in my car. It's not going anywhere.
Dan, would you like to maybe conclude what we spoke about and have give Saeed the honors to do the final goodbyes?
Yeah, well, you have to do it.
See, that's
You have to wink.
He is.
I am not
our,
winking.
You need to.
No,
He is our guest of honor. After all,
You need to wink.
You guys are putting me in the hot seat.
You have to
I have
wink.
to-
You are on the hot
I
seat.
am in the hot seat.
That's part of the
You have
show.
to wink.
There is always a time in your
No, I
life
think-
where we have to wink. So
I
this time.
Now's the time to practice.
No, yeah.
I hate you guys so much right now.
I
But I
think-
love you guys though.
I think to summarize, as Saif said at the start, we picked a topic that we could go on for hours.
Yeah. I
Suspension's
think we need
not something simple.
a part 2 for this.
So we might split it up in the next episode and talk more detail about maybe brands or something like that. But to summarize,
you know what we should do? We should organize one day out once a winter. Just have a jump fest.
I think this might be in season 2.
Yeah.
yeah, the outdoor season.
Yeah.
I'd love people
So-
to ask us on the forum, on YouTube, some questions. Maybe we
Yeah.
can.
Ask.
Hopefully we've
Oh,
educated
wow.
them and
That's so angry.
they're going to be asking. And if they're asking us, we've got
Just
experience
Zurban
from-
man being
we've
scared.
got experience from everywhere. So to summarize, I think it's the same as almost every summary, which is do your research, get educated, ask questions,
Go to trusted garages and
go to trusted garage who will give you the time of day, who will maybe explain it if you don't understand it.
Yeah.
Go for a test drive, try it, break it, change it.
break it, change it.
Let's hope.
That's my motto, man.
Sounded like a
Is
song.
drive it until you
Go on,
need to
break it,
change it
break it,
or
break
it
it.
breaks.
Now,
And that's it. There's no discussion.
have
That's
you
another
driven behind
episode.
one?
That's another episode.
So, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below.
How about you then?